All right, I just recorded a 30-minute video. I didn't like it. My energy levels are low right now. I am hecka tired right now. I have not been getting good sleep lately. I think I got insomnia or something, but I'm just going to try and run through this real quick. These are SEC college football projected tier lists. This is where I think everyone's going to be at the end of the season in SEC play. Very important you hear me when I say in SEC play. I know Alabama lost to FSU, okay? But this is in SEC play. And let me tell you why I'm doing these. I'm going to do this for the SEC. I'm doing it right now. I'm going to do this for the Big Ten. I've already, made my tier list. And I'm going to do this for the Big 12. And I'm doing this for the ACC. I've also already made my tier list for the ACC. But the reason why I'm doing this is because when trying to break down or predict who's going to be in the college football playoff, what we first have to understand is the fact that there is going to be 5 unique conferences in the college football playoff. So at the end of the day, we can break down all of these teams as one whole and try and pick the 12 best teams, but that's just not how it's going to work because if you win your conference, you're in. You could look at these 12 teams right here and say these are the 12 best teams in college football. What the heck was that? In college football. But the fact of the matter is, even if these were the 12 best teams, not all of them can get in. So how I'm going to start breaking this down is I'm going to start looking at conference by conference who is the top tier in that conference and saying, okay, who are we going to pick from this conference? Who are we going to pick from this conference? Because, one of these teams, I'm just going to keep it a buck. There's going to be an SEC team that doesn't get into the college football playoff that's better than, the group of 5, whatever, champion. Or better than the third ACC team that gets in. That's just how it is. That's how it's going to be. So, unfortunately for the SEC, actually, fortunately and unfortunately, right? Because I think the SEC is going to get more people in. The SEC and the Big Ten are going to get more people in the college football playoff than any other conference. But, you play in a really tough conference. When I look at these tiers, you see where good is? Good is in mid. Because these are good teams outside of the SEC. But if you're a good team outside, in the SEC, you're a mid team, because that's just how it is. You're a great team. These teams are elite. These teams are elite outside the SEC. But in the SEC, they're just great. These teams outside the SEC are shoo-ins to the playoffs. Not in the SEC, though. You put Tennessee in the ACC or Big 12, yep, they're going to the playoffs. But you're in the SEC, so, you might not go to the playoffs because you have to play Georgia. And you have to play Bama. And I think you have to play Oklahoma. I'm not actually sure about that. Frick, I knew that was going to happen. But anyways, and then these teams are elite. These are college football national championship teams right here. Okay? That's just how it is. But anyways, I wasted too much time yipping and yapping about that. I'm going to be making, all of these, different projected tier lists for each conference. And then from that, I'm going to determine who should get in to the college football playoff. And that's when I'll make my college football playoff projected video. But moving on from that. Basically how I decided each team, and these are in order, A&M is 1, Alabama is 2, OU is 3, Georgia is 4, Tennessee is 5, so on and so forth. Kind of like a little snake. You gotta remember that. The closer they are to the tier, the better they are in that tier. But anyways, kind of how I made this was I focused on, obviously, first and foremost, the games they've already played in the SEC, and then I focused on their schedule going forward, right? And what I mean by that is if you play a harder schedule in the SEC, you're going to have more losses typically. That's just how it is, you know? Play harder games, get more losses. I mean, that's how it is. So, yeah, I mean, when you break this down, I looked at A&M and I looked at their schedule and I could see really only 1 to 2 losses on there. 1 to 2 losses on there. And none of them were definite. There's some losses that I see from these teams that I'm like, yep, these are surefire losses. There was no team on A&M's schedule that I was like, yep, that's a surefire loss. When I look at it, I'd say Mississippi State has a chance this coming Saturday. That's a 50-50. That's not a surefire loss. I'd say LSU has a chance. 50-50. Not a surefire loss. And I'd say Texas has a chance. So there's 3 teams that have a chance to beat them, in my opinion. But there's no surefire losses. So I'm saying 1 to 2. Right? Really, it's like 1.5. Because whenever I think there's a chance, I say it's like a 50-50. And I say like that's 0.5. Right? And they have 3 games that are 0.5, 1.5. That's basically how I broke them down. Alabama, I look at Alabama. I think it's the same thing. Actually, I know it's the same thing. Like, no surefire losses on Alabama's team. Or on the Alabama schedule going forward. And I don't think Vandy is even a 50-50. Nor do I think Missouri's a 50-50. But I do think Tennessee and LSU are 50-50. And that's me being generous to LSU. Both of the times. When I say LSU has a 50-50 with these 2 teams, that's me being generous to LSU. I don't know. I don't even think really that's a 50-50, but I'm going to say it's a 50-50. Right? LSU and Tennessee, that's a 50-50. So, 2 50-50s add up to a 1. Maybe a 1 loss there. And then Oklahoma and Auburn, that's a 50-50, both of those teams. So I could see 2 losses, 2 potential losses for Alabama. Moving on to OU, it's the same thing. I don't see any loss. I don't see any guaranteed losses on OU's schedule. I don't see a single one. But because OU is playing without Mateer for the next month, I could see some 50-50s. If Mateer was playing in the Texas game, I'm taking Oklahoma, but he's not. So I think there's a 50-50 with Oklahoma and Texas. 0.5. I think there's a 50-50 with Ole Miss. That's 1. 1 potential loss between those 2, in my opinion. And then same thing with Tennessee and Alabama. There's 50-50s there. So maybe 2 losses. And the LSU game, I think John Mateer will be back, and I think that's just a flat-out win for Oklahoma. I'm not going to lie. I don't even think that's 50-50. So yeah, I see 2 potential losses for OU. Moving on to Georgia. Georgia already has 1 loss, so you have to keep that in mind. So really, I'm only predicting like 1.5 more losses potentially. And where they are is a 50-50 between Ole Miss and Georgia and a 50-50 between Mississippi State and Georgia. Oh, wait. Hold on. Georgia's only at 2. I flat out think Georgia's going to beat Texas. I'm going to keep it a buck. I think Georgia's going to beat Texas. But I do think that there's a 50-50 between Mississippi State and Georgia. And I think there's a 50-50 between Ole Miss and Georgia. So when Georgia has to play Georgia plays these 2 games, I could see maybe 1 potential loss. And they've already lost to Bama, so that gives them 2 losses. And Bama's ahead of Georgia because of the head-to-head win already. And I think they're probably going to get a head-to-head win against OU. But I don't know. I have Alabama there. That's just how it is. Moving on to Tennessee. I mean, I think Tennessee, Mississippi State, Georgia, Alabama, they're all right there with each other in terms of skill. I think John Mateer when healthy at Oklahoma and Texas A&M, I think they're like a step above them. And then like Ole Miss, LSU. Actually, I'm gonna say Vandy. No, I'm gonna say Vandy is um like a step below these. Oh, what the heck am I even talking about right now? This is why my videos go on for so long. Anyways, I'm moving on to Tennessee. Looking at Tennessee, they already have one loss, one unfortunate loss to Georgia. I'm sorry, but it happened. So there's a 1 there. There's a 50-50 between Oklahoma and Alabama. There's a 2 there, and then there's a 50-50 with Vanderbilt. There's a 2.5 there. That's what that half there separates them from elite. Elite is like 1 to 2 losses. That's where I see them. Tennessee is like 2 to 3 losses. That's where I see them. But anyways, moving on from them, we're looking at Ole Miss. Ole Miss has one of the easier schedules in the SEC. I don't think they're actually that good of a team. Okay, like I said, they're a good team. They're a good team in the SEC. But they have one of the easier... What the heck is that? They have one of the easier schedules. Holy crap, I think I might pass out. I'm so tired. I'm going to do the explaining up to Texas. I'll do the explaining up to Auburn. Because, I mean, some of you will be like, what about LSU? How do you think LSU is going to fare? I don't know. Where was I? Ole Miss. Did I say flat out lose to Georgia? No, I didn't. There's a 50-50 there with Georgia, 50-50 with Oklahoma. So that's 1 loss in between those 2 games. And then I think they're flat out going to lose to... wait, so is Ole Miss only at 2? Ole Miss is at 2.5. Okay, I need to lock in. How did I have this? They're flat out going to lose to Georgia, in my opinion. And they're going to flat out lose to Mississippi State. And if Oklahoma had John Mateer, they would flat out lose to them. But I don't think John Mateer will be back. So I think it'll be, 2.5. 2 to 3 losses for Ole Miss. Same as Tennessee. That's where I'm at with that. Moving on to Mississippi State. Mississippi State is unfortunately a little bit worse off because they already have that loss to Tennessee. That was a 50-50 game. They lost a 50-50. So unfortunately, they jumped up to at least 3 losses, or like 3 to 4 losses in my opinion. But I think there's a 50-50 chance they lose to Texas A&M, and there's a 50-50 chance they beat/lose to Texas. So right there, they've already lost to Tennessee. Between A&M and Texas, there's another loss. And then between Georgia and Ole Miss, actually no, between Georgia, there's another loss. Wait, so there should only be at 2.5. Tennessee, Mississippi State, Texas. Ooh, I think I flat out predicted Georgia was just going to beat them. Wait, did I do that? I very well might have done that. But either way, yeah, Mississippi State is looking like... Really, I don't even want to say 3 to 4 loss team. They're looking like a 3 loss team. I don't think it's going to be 4, but a 3 loss team. Moving on to Vandy. Vandy's done very well so far. I think they're flat out going to lose to Alabama. That's 1 loss there. I'm just going to keep it a buck. I think maybe LSU or maybe Texas, but in between those 2 games, there's another loss. And then I think I said Auburn and Tennessee is another loss, or Auburn or Tennessee is another loss, so that's 3 potential losses. I think I do predict them to beat Missouri, or maybe I flipped it and I think they're gonna beat Actually, I think they're gonna beat Auburn. Yeah, they're gonna beat Auburn, but potentially lose to Missouri or Tennessee. But either way, I mean, you're kind of looking at 3 losses there for Vandy. Texas. Texas, in my opinion, is the most overrated team in the SEC. I mean, unless Arch Manning completely proves me wrong, he is not good. He's not good. Anyway, yeah, Texas, if John Mateer is playing, I think just flat out loses to Oklahoma. He's not playing, or I don't think he's playing. So they have a chance against Oklahoma. And then Mississippi State. Between Oklahoma and Mississippi State, there's a loss. And between Vandy and Texas A&M, there's a loss. And then they're flat out going to lose to Georgia, in my opinion. I don't even see that. I don't even see them beating them. So, yeah. Texas, in my opinion, is a 3-loss team. Vandy's a 3-loss team. Mississippi State's a 3-loss team. Tennessee, Ole Miss are like 2 to 3 losses. Georgia's a 2-loss team. OU's a 2-loss team. Bama's a 1 to 2 loss team. And A&M is a 1 to 2 loss team. You know what? Georgia's a 2-loss team. These 3 are 1 to 2 loss teams. Yeah, and then 2 to 3 loss, 2 to 3 loss, 3 loss, 3 loss, 3 loss, in my opinion. Moving on to LSU. LSU's already lost one to Ole Miss, obviously. And I'm being so generous with LSU. I give them 50-50s. Like, the only game that I flat out think they're going to lose, really there's more, but the one that I'm like not even going to give them a 50-50 is Oklahoma. I think they're flat out going to lose that game. Between Vandy and Bama, I think there's going to be a loss. And then like 50-50 with A&M, but I don't even know if I agree with myself on that one. So yeah, LSU's a 3 to 4 loss team, in my opinion. And then we look at Mizzou. Mizzou's flat out going to lose to Alabama, in my opinion. I think between Auburn and Vandy, there's a loss. Texas A&M flat out beats them. Mississippi State flat out beats them. And Oklahoma flat out beats them, in my opinion. Actually, one of those games isn't a 50-50. I forget which one. Shoot, I don't know. Vandy's a 5 to 6 loss team, in my opinion. Or Mizzou's a 5 to 6 loss team. Moving on, last one I'm gonna do, and the rest you can kind of just use your brain. But Auburn, they've already lost 2 of their games, unfortunately, and it doesn't really lighten up. You gotta play Georgia next, so yeah, that's a flat out loss. Like 3 flat out losses right there, in my opinion. I gave him a 50-50 with Vandy and Auburn, or Vandy and Bama, I think. And then, I don't know. I think they're probably only a 4 to 5 loss team. Oh, I need to stop doing that. Actually, no, I think they're probably a 5 to 6 loss team as well. But these teams don't really matter. These teams, the great and elite teams, are the ones you gotta really look out for, in my opinion. Right now. And I know you're like, Missouri fans, you're like, what? We haven't done anything wrong yet. Yeah, you haven't. But, I don't know, you could prove me wrong. They could come out there and beat Bama. It could happen. I don't see it happening. I watch a lot of SEC football. The SEC is like the one conference I feel most confident about doing. I don't feel confident about the ACC. I just did theirs. I don't feel confident about that at all. Big Ten, I feel semi-confident about. Because, the Big Ten, it's pretty much the same every year, dude, I swear. But anyways, I digress. South Carolina, mid. Florida, mid. Why do I keep saying Arizona? Arkansas, mid. UK, mid. I mean, yeah. This is basically what I see. I see an A&M, Alabama SEC championship. Alabama probably wins. I can see Alabama being like the 3 seed. I mean, I'm going to make a whole, like, everything else, but yeah. Right now, I think A&M is like the most locked in for making the SEC championship, and then whether or not they play Bama or OU. Bama and OU kind of control their own destiny, I feel like. I think some things have to go Georgia's way. Mainly Alabama losing. Because they've lost, unfortunately. But yeah. That's basically what I got. I hope everything makes sense. And, I mean, if you just completely disagree with me, let me know. And, yeah, I'm excited to get to share with you. I mean, I feel like this is, like, not enough. But this, like, trust me, you need all of these moving parts to determine what the college football playoff is really going to look like. Like, you need this on all of the conferences, and then you can pick and choose, which teams you think are going to make it from each conference, or how many teams really are going to make it. But yeah, I'm feeling good about this. Feeling good. These are projections. I mean, we've got like 1/3 worth of evidence. Not even half the season is up yet, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you completely disagree. Let me know if you completely agree. Or don't let me know anything. I mean, it's all good. Yeah, but I'm going to get the other conferences made, and I'm going to put together a little college football playoff prediction based off of all of this, and it's going to be good. So yeah, see ya.